What up guys, it's Falk here, and the biggest question that I've been asked this week is, what are my thoughts on the Widowmaker Nerf that came in on a patch on the 14th of June, changing a few things about her. The following information is the official patch notes posted on the Blizzard forum. Widowmaker's Widow's Kiss, which is her assault rifle, the base damage has been decreased from 15 to 12. This means you'll be doing less damage if you hit a body shot. However, the headshot damage remains unchanged. Even though it saves from 2 times to 2.5, this adds up to exactly the same as it was before the patch. One of the biggest things that affects me and other Widowmaker players isn't actually the damage, it's the second to last point. Players must now wait for the unscoping animation to completely finish before scoping. This means that I can't scope in, take a shot, and then the scope goes halfway down and then I can scope back in again. I have to wait until the scope has finished completely down before I can take another shot. This basically adds on an extra second or so on being able to take down a second target. I'm going to be going into quite some more detail about this during the video because this is the biggest point that affects me and my gameplay with Widowmaker. And the final point is her Infra-Sight, the ultimate, costs 10% more on the charge. Again, this is something which doesn't really affect Widowmaker players too much, and I'll show you my views on her ultimate later on in the video too. So let's talk about one of the biggest changes to Widowmaker, the animation nerf. This might not seem a big deal to others, but to Widowmaker players it's pretty huge, because it changes the way that you play, and to me I feel more vulnerable. Let's see if you can still play with Widowmaker. The video playing in the background is me playing with Widowmaker after the nerf. This means that I have to wait until the animation has stopped. The real answer is yes, I can still use Widowmaker. I can still use her against the training bots, and I can still use her in-game. I've even got on play of the game with Widowmaker. However, for me, it's going to be a change in which I need to adjust to. So the adjustment comes that because Overwatch is quite a fast-paced game, and previous, I could scope in straight away and I'd know exactly where people would be and where they're going to go and what they're going to do. The extra second or so that it takes to scope in changes the way that I need to play it because people are going to be at a different location, different points, so they're going to be able to get away. 1 second with a tracer is huge because of how quickly she can blink around. So when you're trying to take down some close range targets and a tracer's blinking around, it's going to be a lot more difficult, which means Widowmaker kind of needs to sit more on the back lines. You can play with her closer up again, but it's going to be far more difficult than it was before because you just can't take down people as quickly as you could. You need to be a lot more careful. As you should always do, you need to know exactly where you need to escape to if you're in a tricky situation. So you still have your grapple hook, you can still do the grapple shots, but you just have to be a little bit more aware that you're a bit more vulnerable now. So you need to make sure that you have an escape route if things get heated in your area. People have also been asking me, what is the best way of scoping now with the nerf? As it takes longer to scope back in, should I stay scoped in and just let it charge after I take a shot? Yes, that is quicker, but you lose a lot of your field of view vision. You can't aim on a second placement as quickly as you could. It's still worth scoping out so you can move quickly to point B to scope back in. It does take that slight bit extra time, but for me personally, I feel a lot more comfortable being able to see after each shot or if I need to move than staying scoped in. I feel far more vulnerable if I'm staying scoped in and just all I can see is my scoped in vision. That's just potentially personal taste, but that works for me still. So let me tell you why the extra 10% charge on Widowmaker's ultimate doesn't actually bother me. That's because I'm not the biggest fan of the ultimate anyway. Why is that? Well, first of all, it makes for less impressive footage, but that isn't the big thing. The big thing is that it actually can put your team at a disadvantage if you use it. Because you can see the enemy and they can't see you, you feel like you have the advantage over them, which to some extent you do, but you're more likely to put yourself into a bigger risk situation and become more vulnerable because, you know what, I can see them but they can't see me, therefore I am safe. Which isn't always the case, because if you're playing against somebody who is good, they can take you down just as quickly, and you're more likely to be less careful with the things that you do because you can see them. You know, they don't know where you are, but actually maybe they do, because this game has great sound. If you can hear an enemy and, you know, they're close, you're most likely going to know they're about to jump around the corner if they have wallhack or not. So you just have to be careful that your team is sensible when wallhack is on, not to put themselves in a vulnerable situation because you know you can see them and that you think you have the advantage. Like I say, a lot of the time you do, but not always. So it comes down to, what are my thoughts on the actual patch? Is this something that was needed? My honest answer is yes. In the right hands, Widowmaker could be devastating. You could take down an entire team, maybe a little bit more so than you should have done. But the animation break kind of kills my enthusiasm for her, and this is what other people who play Widowmaker have said as well. They don't mind the damage nerf, they don't mind the Infra-Sight nerf, but the animation breaks slow her down and she stops flowing like she used to. She becomes very much more a backline hero, basically like a sniper should be. And what I found fun with Widowmaker, the animation that is now gone, kind of makes me feel less interested in playing her. I still will play her, and eventually I will get as good as I was with her, but one of the favorite parts that I loved about Widowmaker has now been taken away. She feels less kind of fluid, and she doesn't feel like that old school, quick, fast-paced shooter hero anymore. She definitely does feel like the kind of backline one. I'm still going to be making Widowmaker videos online. I'm also looking to do tips, tricks, and tutorials for after the nerf for PC players. It currently hasn't been rolled out on console, but most likely it will be in the future. But I'm hoping to make sure that I play Widowmaker enough that I can share my education and my knowledge across with other people who love my videos. So once again, thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully we share something of the same views on the patch. It's not ideal, but it's not going to go back anytime soon, if not ever. So we're going to have to learn to deal with it, but that doesn't stop us becoming super gods at Widowmaker. I want to give a shout out to Overkarma, who was in one of the games I was playing while collecting this footage. He's a big fan of the videos, so just wanted to drop this in here too. If you've enjoyed this video on the Widowmaker Nerf, make sure to drop a thumbs up and a subscribe if you haven't already done so. If you have something to add, you can also drop a comment, but don't forget everybody has different opinions and there's no right answer, so we need to make sure we enter this with an open mind and not go in while saying, oh, this person said this and he's wrong, and you know what, it's all, everybody's opinion is accepted.